Okay, operations with complex numbers, adding, subtracting, subtracting is easy. It's just like terms. So for negative 3i plus 8i, those are same terms. Add them together and you get positive 5i. Over here, you're going to identify constants, and then you're going to identify i's, and then you're going to read left to right. This says negative 6 subtract 7, which is negative 13. And I did not put that well. That's silly of me. Negative 13. Then you have 2i, subtract a negative. Subtract a negative is same as adding a positive, so plus 6i. Okay, and now down here, hopefully I didn't make an error. We have 8, subtract negative 7, that's like adding 7, so that's 8 plus 7 plus negative 3, so that's 15, subtract 3, which is 12. And now you have negative 2i, subtract 8i, that's negative 10i, plus negative 5i, which is negative 15i. So 12 plus negative 15i or subtract 15i. Now when you go to multiply, multiply the 2 times the 8, and then multiply the I times the I, which is I squared. And remember what I squared was? Negative 1. So negative 1 times 16 is just negative 16. Okay, so this gets a little bit more complex, but now you've got this complex term squared, so you could think about that as rewritten like this, or you could use, if you're already aware of Pascal's triangle, you could use that. But when you square this, then you just do the double distributive. 6 times 6, 6 times negative 8i, then negative 8i times 6, negative 8i times negative 8i. So remember, it's the first term squared, which is 36. It's the last term squared, which is negative 8 times negative 8 is positive 64. I times I is I squared. Then it's 6 times negative 8, which is negative, or 6 times negative 8i, which is negative 48i, and then negative 8i times 6, which is another negative 48i. And when you double that, so remember the 1, 2, 1 from Pascal's triangle, the first thing squared, the second term is 2 times the first times the second, and then the second item squared. And then remember, you can simplify the I squared. I squared is negative 1, and then negative 1 times positive 64 is negative 64. And then 36 subtract 64 is negative 28. And now we have it in the form of a plus bi. And let's see what we have here on the next one. So the next one, I would probably simplify these two things first. Then the result of this, I would multiply by negative 6. And I think that that's what I did. I simplified this. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times negative I is negative 3i. Negative 5i times 2 is negative 10i. Negative 5 times negative I is 5i squared, but I squared is negative 1, so that will be a negative 5. This becomes negative 5, and then negative 3i and negative 10i is negative 13i. Well, 6 subtract 5 is 1, and now you can do the distributive. Negative 6 times 1 is negative 6. Negative 6 times negative 13i is positive 17i. All right, that's it for this one.